Hey, welcome to another video. I've got a lot of content to put out. I was just finding the time to edit it into video and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot going on at the moment. This is my new house. I'm not going to give you a massive tour, but it is full of baby stuff. Obviously, I'm a stay-at-home daddy with the baby during the week while mummy goes to work. We've got a lovely garden as well, look. I love this place. So we moved in here a couple of months ago, and it's just been tremendously difficult to get out and record content photography wise. But I've done a lot of stuff on my laptop. I'm currently in the middle of wedding season as well. I've got some wedding stuff to go through today and get some weddings. I did a wedding at the weekend, and yeah, I've got a lot of work on at the moment. So finding time to upload to YouTube is difficult. I have been getting into a little bit of airsoft. It's a little bit of a hobby on the side of everything else, because, you know, that's what I do. I like to make my life that little bit easier. So airsoft has been pretty good recently, and the weather's been really good. I actually did a woodland airsoft game a few weeks ago, and they had an on-site photographer from Studio 13. I'm going to leave a link to their website in the description. They got a couple of images of me on the day, and I bought those images, and I emailed them and asked them if they didn't mind if I could edit the images. Only because there's a few things in there that I wanted to do. I wanted to give a bit of a stylized look. I wanted to add a bit of red smoke and take a few people out, or at least one person out of the background of the picture. I'm going to do this as a bit of a speed edit, but I'm also going to explain what I'm doing as the edit's going through. So it's not just a speed edit video, so don't worry, I'm going to explain what I'm doing as best I can. So let's get into this video. I'm just going to talk over this video and let you know how I edited this picture. Quite easily. It's not a massive, difficult edit, but it's a bit long, so I'm going to speed up a little bit. Here we go. Okay, here we are in Lightroom, and the first thing I'm going to do is make a duplicate layer and start my selection. Now, there's loads of ways of doing this, guys and girls. I'm not going to teach you how to do a selection around a subject. In my mind, make it easy, I use the polygon lasso tool to refine a subject selection. Takes a bit of time, but when you get used to using the selection tools like this, you know, it becomes quite easy, and yeah, I enjoy it. So I'm going to speed this bit up a bit faster, get through the selection, and by the end of it, it should just be myself selected. Okay, I will note here that I didn't make a fantastic selection around the gun, unfortunately. I realise this later on, I do correct it with a little simple trick, and I'll show you that a little bit later on. But that's me completely selected. Now I just want to take out a background. All I'm simply doing here is using the clone stamp tool to make it look good. This doesn't have to be perfect. No one's going to really notice it, as long as you don't have too many areas that are like replicated. I go back and start again a few times and try and refine it so it looks okay. And that's all you really need. Don't make it really difficult for yourself. Just find parts of the image that will look good to take out the subject behind me. That's the person. There was actually a woman there from an airsoft team. I think it was a Polish airsoft team. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Do what you can to make it look as good as you can. And yeah, there you go. I do clean a few areas down the front off because I think they're a little bit distracting later on when I add some smoke. I don't want too much distraction in the foreground. I'm playing around with the background a little bit more, and I'm actually incorporating the foreground now into my selection. If you see my selections there, the foreground is now incorporated. That's important for a step later on. Now I'm going to add an exposure layer just underneath my top layer so I can work on just the background. I need to now clip this to just work on the background. And I've added the mask back in on the foreground, obviously. And now I can play with the background. I want to make this a little bit darker so that when I add some smoke later, it's a nice effect. And you see me a little bit better because I'm a little bit lighter than the background. To further enhance the background, I add a curves adjustment layer and just give a little bit of an S-curve. Bring the darks down a little bit. Now I'm going to add some smoke, and I'm actually using some cloud brushes that are, I think, already installed in Photoshop. You should be able to see these. You can search for cloud. And I'm just testing what's going to work best. This is obviously under the top layer, above all of the adjustment layers, because I don't want the adjustment layers to affect this. I'm going to select a white and black foreground and background brush and just keep clicking X until I find something I like. Obviously smoke has a colour because I want to add red to it, but I want a base to be black and white as well, so you still get that kind of good look. And I'll have a play with the blend mode. So I'm going to go for, what do I go for here? Probably lighten works best in the background, and I'm actually going to mask some of it out a little bit in a second. So I'm going to take the black brush, add some more blacks, get some more whites in there if I can, and just bring the opacity down ever so slightly. Now I'm going to add a layer on top of everything so I can put some smoke in front. Obviously the smoke is closer, so I'll make my brush bigger. Kind of makes sense. Just do the same thing again, have a play around, whatever works best for you really. I need to add quite a bit down the front there, but I don't add too much over my face. I want to keep my face and my head and the upper part of my body not in smoke, if that makes sense. So I'm going to bring the opacity to fill down this time and have a play around with more smoke. So I'm going to add reds, blacks, different brushes as well, so there's obviously different cloud brushes. Now I'm going to add a look up adjustment layer and go for the burnt umber look, and then I'm going to add a black and white adjustment layer. I just want to bring down certain colours in terms of darks and lights, and I'm going to bring the fill right down just so I can take a bit of the greenness out of the background, if that makes sense. Give it more of a war kind of look. And now I'm going to add another look up adjustment layer and just go for some different looks and see how it works. And I'm going to mask out me from all of those layers. So all those layers you see, I'm going to mask me out of them ever so slightly so I can get that kind of look around me, but then I'm not being affected by those looks as much. So my brush is on a flow of about 12%, so I can just build on that and build on that as best I can. Now I'm going to combine all layers into one layer, and I'm now going to go turn that to a smart layer and go into camera raw filter. Now this is kind of my end-ish process, and this will be different for everyone. Play around with the sliders, see what works best for your image, and yeah, I love this as a kind of last step to give my images a very stylized look. I have a certain process of where I go, but just go through everything as best you can. You know, I kind of color grade my images, all kind of the same. I have my own kind of style, but yours might be different. It's all about having a mess around. I noticed that there's some red marks on here. I don't know where they're from. They're from something on my clothing somewhere. So I rendered it out and I have a look, and they were there before. Didn't notice them. So I'm going to grab a brush quickly and do some real quick edits with this. I'm just going to, I take a black, initially take black, and it doesn't work, so I choose a colour around where that is, just take it out. And now I've noticed that around the gun I made some really bad selections. So all I'm going to do here is keep it really, really simple. I'm going to go into a darken mode with the brush and just darken those areas with a kind of dark bluish brush. It doesn't have to be black, but they were areas I forgot to mask out earlier, and they're a bit light, so they kind of attract. And now I see some fringing around my face and stuff like that. So I'm just going to have a play around back in the raw filter. Just take the fringing away. And guys, that's it. Really simple. It took me about 25 minutes to edit this. I've obviously sped things up. But this image goes to this image fairly quickly. And the longest part of what I did was just selecting around me and the gun, because it's quite a difficult selection. To have a play, get some pictures of yourself or someone else, and just see what you can do just to make them stand out a little bit better. I really hope you enjoyed this, guys and girls. If you did, please whack a thumbs up, and yeah, please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hit the notification bell so you get updates every time I upload a video. Until the next one, I'll see you boys and girls soon. Take care. Bye.